Hey y'all! Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. I'm Patrice. Please be sure to look at the other content, and if you enjoyed that content, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. For my returning subscribers, welcome back. Some of you already know, and some of you are already a part of our Facebook community, Craftable Things, and in that group we like to share different techniques, we like to showcase our work, and also provide support to our fellow crafters. And if you are not a part of that group, please be sure to like us and follow our group on Facebook. Today's tutorial is actually inspiration from a member who posted pictures of these beautiful Bibles that she customized with sublimation. Okay, so these are blank Bibles that I got from Amazon.com, and I got this image from Etsy, and I just simply designed it and sized it inside of Adobe Illustrator, and I put the name on there myself. All I needed to get this done was a piece of laminate and the image, and I did not use the heat press. I used the Cricut Easy Press, the original one, which that one gets up to 360 degrees, and I subbed it for 45 seconds. I did not use the heat press because it could not really evenly distribute the heat because it could not close, and the Bible is actually very, very thick. So that made it a little bit difficult, but the Easy Press worked just fine, as you guys can see. And that's what we did. I used my ink, Dynamic ink. If you are interested, you can find that inside of my Etsy shop, Dynamic Print Supply. And I also used, honestly speaking, sublimation paper, and it worked beautifully. So I'm going to walk you all through the process of subbing onto these Bibles. Let's get started. Alright guys, to get started, what we'll need is we need, of course, a ruler, just so that we can measure the amount of space that is on the Bible, and so that way we can make sure our design is sized accordingly. So I measured the space here, and then I measured the space there to know what size I wanted the name to be at the top. Okay, so we'll get our laminate, and then we will split it in half. So all you have to do is take it apart, and I'm going to cut this in half. One side should be enough to cover both the front cover and the back cover of the Bible. The side of the laminate that will be facing the Bible is going to be the matte side. One side of the laminate is shiny, and the other side is more of a matte finish. That is the side where the adhesive is, and that is the side that will go down on your Bible and you will press. Okay, so I also have my mini press just in case, because this part right here, it will be hard to get that laminate to stick here because pages of the books up here, and then there's a little bit of extra space here. So I'm going to use that Easy Press to make sure that this part is nice and sealed. Also, I will be using my lint roller to kind of just move away any debris or material that may be on this Bible. I do not want any extra colors on the Bible. If you have lint or anything on your Bible, it will have a little bit of discoloration. It usually turns blue when it is subbed. I am now going to cut this to size, and I will press this onto the Bible. So I want this laminate sheet to cover the entire cover. So I'm going to simply do like this, and I'm just going to cut around it. It doesn't, for me, I'm going to trim the edges more closely once it's already on to the cover. Next, I'm going to place this on top of the Bible. I'm going to press this. The Bible's pretty thick. I'm not really worried about the heat going all the way to my mat. And I'm going to press this just like this. And I am going to put a piece of butcher paper on top. And I will press this for about 10 seconds. I'm going to make sure that bottom gets sealed. Alright, that should be enough for now. So I'm going to look at it and see how it took. And I do see a little bit of bubbles underneath. It needs a little bit of help. So I'm just going to take my ruler and kind of get it a little bit more. I think I'm going to press it one more time, a little bit. But this is getting those bubbles out. Because there are a few bubbles there. Alright, as you can see, the sides will have like a little lift because there was nothing really to support pressing it. Okay, so I will take the heat press and press a little bit more, but I'm just going to give it a nice little press for about 5 more seconds. Alright, I'm going to let that cool off just a little bit. And now it looks very, very good. It's nice and smooth. I don't see or hear any of the air bubbles when I get it out. And then next what I'm going to do is I am going to seal those edges. And you can use a mini press if you have a mini press. If you have a heat press that can clamp down on it or at least evenly distribute the heat, you can actually just take the Bible and rub the edges against the plate of the heat press. And that's honestly what I'm about to do now with the heat press. I'm just going to take it and just rub it here. And you want to make sure you are getting those edges even up here. Alright guys, make sure that you seal all of the edges of the Bible to make sure that it does not lift. And I'm going to do the inside right here. Even though this got pressed, I still, when you open in that Bible, you don't want it to open, and then as that wear and tear goes, you don't want it to start lifting. So I am kind of pressing into that indentation to kind of help it seal better. Alright, so now that we have done that, now look, there is no lifting. It does not. That is nicely sealed. It does not go past the actual cover. Okay, so that is how I make sure that it is nicely sealed. I am going to do the same thing to the back. When we are done, I am just going to take my X-Acto knife and run it around the edges to remove that little extra piece that is there. Now we're in Adobe Illustrator, and I am simply going to show you all how I import the image that I purchased from Etsy. Okay, so I'm just going to go into my documents, place, and I am going to, the original way that I did this was of course with my with the PNG file, but I'm going to show you all something a little bit different. I'm going to place the SVG version of the file, and I am going to make the width 5 because when I measured the Bible, I didn't want to go over 5 inches wide, and I really did not want to distort it too much. Okay, I am going to possibly make it a little bit longer. Okay, so that gives me about 5, making it about a 5 by 4, and I'm happy with that. Alright, so I do want you guys to know, when you purchase a file, certain things you can do with SVGs that you can't really do with the PNG. So I'm going to click everything, and this is what we have. Alright, so you can make her clothes a different color. So if you click onto the overall, you can change that color to, let's say we want to change that to pink. You can change it to a pink, a green. You can even place a pattern inside of it. It's all up to you, whatever you want to do. That's why sometimes I do like to design using the SVGs, or at least change the designs a little bit to tailor it to what I want it to be. You can change the words to whatever color. So if I want those words to be pink, I can change the words to pink and have a pink outline. So there's so many different things that you can do. Alright guys, so that's pretty much all I wanted to really show you once I imported the document inside of Adobe Illustrator. So those are certain things that you could do with the SVG, but if you don't want to change any of the colors or anything like that, you can simply just import the PNG version of the file or the JPEG version, whatever versions they have. You can just download one of those versions. Okay. So I am going to get ready to print this out. I want to show you also my print settings. So my print settings, I am printing this out on my Epson EcoTank 2750. And when I go into setup, I will select my print settings, and I am printing this with the plain paper setting. I am using, honestly speaking, Sublimation paper, and I don't have to do premium presentation matte. The colors are superior on the plain setting. And so of course I make sure that I mirror my image, and my print quality is quality. Once I go to color options, I am going to select the Adobe RGB 2.2 Gamma. And this panel here, you can adjust your colors. Once you get more familiar with adjusting your colors, you can add more magenta or more cyan to the color palette. But of course, you will want to test that out. You can also increase the brightness a little bit, the contrast, and the saturation. Okay, but I'm just printing it exactly like this. This is perfectly fine for me. And I will print it, and we are going to get ready to press the Bible. So we are all ready to put our image on the Bible. We have our image for the back of the Bible also, and I am going to place this on top, and I am going to put a little bit of heat tape on it, just a little, nothing too much. Because I'm doing this manually, I want to make sure that it is taped down, because when you're holding the mini press or the heat press, whichever you're doing it with, you can't you don't want to move. And sometimes, y'all, I don't know why, but I just can't hold it steadily. And so because of that, I end up kind of shifting when I'm doing it with the Cricut Easy Press. But I have this exactly where I want it to be. And I am going to cover this with a piece of butcher paper. Now the paper that I'm using, the sublimation paper that I'm using, you don't really even have to use the butcher paper. I just use it because I'm used to it, but there will be no ink transferred onto this butcher paper. You guys will see, because I will also use the same butcher paper to sub on the back. Alright, so I am going to place this down. And I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure manually to this, and it is 360 degrees for 45 seconds. Alright, let's see how that turned out, and that was 360 degrees at 45 seconds. And let's see, it has already lifted up a little bit. I can see the ink release on there. And we will start with the name, and that name looks great. Alright, and let's look at what the image looks like, and it looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. I probably needed a little bit of more pressure right here, or I might have moved, but look at that. That looks beautiful. Alright, so next we are going to sub onto the back. And I'm just going to let this cool off before I turn it over onto this mat, because this is not an actual heating press mat. So I don't want to apply too much heat, but it looks beautiful, y'all. So we are now ready to press the back of the Bible. And I must make sure that it's nice and clear. You can also go ahead and try to maybe like run that lint roller on top of it again, because it has been in contact with the other side of the table. So you don't want to risk, especially if these are something that you're selling, you don't want to risk anything getting on top of it. Alright, so I am going to put this here, and I am also going to tape this down just at the top though. And y'all, I will be using that same piece of butcher paper, because there is nothing on this butcher paper. It is clear and free of any ink from that first press. Alright, so I'm going to get ready. I'm thinking that I may press this twice so that I can make sure that I'm applying the right amount of pressure to it. And I am pressing for 45 seconds. Alright guys, so now we are done subbing onto the back of the Bible, and this is what we have. It looks beautiful. And so next I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and just clear those edges a little bit, because there is a little bit of extra laminate on the edges, and I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and just trim away those edges. Okay, once you're done trimming, you can run your heat press around those edges a little bit more if you desire. Just be careful not to touch the ink. Alright y'all, so we're all done subbing our Bible, and I am super happy with this Bible. I can't wait to put this inside of the Easter baskets that I'm going to be making for Easter, and everything turned out beautifully. Remember, in order to sub onto the Bible, you need to make sure you have a laminate sheet that goes on top, and then you will be able to sublimate. I always get a lot of slack about people saying, especially when you have these hacks, oh, that's not true sublimation. It's not true sublimation because we are not subbing onto the actual Bible itself, but the process of putting the ink onto the laminate, because the laminate is a material that can take the sublimation process, we subbed on the laminate, and guess what? It looks great. Alright, so that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it, and if you are not already, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as regular subscribers. Also, I do have a vlogging channel. It's called Teach Craft Live, and on that channel I pretty much talk about teaching, I talk about life, I talk about crafting, more so the business side and or the hobby side. I would love to have you there as well. Alright, so that is going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.